Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad, sponsored by Gametime. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
After the long wait of an offseason, after the long wait of a preseason, finally, we sit here today on a Squad Show Tuesday with a 53-man roster that's set for this very moment. Who knows? It will be exactly that tomorrow. That's for a different day. That's for Friday's show. But right now, we are sitting here, and we have a lot to get into because the Texans have made roster decisions across it, and we are with you for the next hour to discuss it all. I'm Michael Connor, staying Norfleet there in the middle. John Hickman on the other side of him. We're with you every Tuesday and typically now after game day. This week it's going to be Tuesday and Friday as we usually were in the offseason. So we appreciate you guys for stopping by and saying hello. Gentlemen, busy day for the Texans, busy day across the league. A lot of players cut, a lot of guys seeing the dreams come to an end. But for the Texans specific, what's the biggest storyline for you today as the Texans, of course, set the 53-man roster? We're going to get to Joe Mixon. We're going to get to the Cam Robinson stuff in a bit.
That's the biggest story. Joe Mixon.
Those are the biggest stories. We're going to get to those in a bit. But in terms of roster decisions outside of those, what stood out the most to you guys today?
I guess I'll jump in.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
For me, I wanted to see how the dynamic of this offensive line lay out. The morning started with Cam Robinson, according to Adam Schefter, Aaron Wilson locally, and several others. He was being shopped around, and that was very confusing to me for reasons that I'll get into here in just a little bit. But when you look at how this thing shook out on the offensive side of the football, they decided to keep Graham Mertz, a draft selection of theirs, rookie out of Florida.
Did you see what he did to the Lions? I mean, come on, we talked about it. The man was unstoppable.
Listen, I get it. You got to have a quarterback in the developmental phase, and they must feel obviously that he would have gotten poached had they put him or tried to sneak him through on the practice squad. And so they end up keeping 3 quarterbacks, which means you have to take away from somewhere. Where did they take away from? Just 2 tight ends. I thought
that was weird.
Yeah, the 2 tight ends they keep obviously is the incumbent Dalton Schultz, as well as second-year man Cade Stover out of Ohio State. The offensive line, from the number standpoint, I thought they would go with 10. That included Trent Brown. They end up going with 9, and they just flat out released Trent Brown, which I was also miffed at, with the thought of maybe bringing him back on the practice squad. You're allowed to keep up to 6 veterans that you can kind of bring up and bring down at your disposal. So my eyes immediately took me to the offensive side of the football.
Real quick on the before you jump in, John, on the tight end thing, did you guys see what Field Yates said of ESPN? Because they let go of Harrison Bryant, who they just got in the John Mixon.
Which surprised me. Yeah.
He said that it could be a procedure, but he pointed out that he's not subject to waivers because he's over 4 years as a veteran, and it could be a procedural move, and that the Texans could just be bringing him back tomorrow. Like would that
it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me.
You're going to have those things, right? And that's why. And before you go, John, real quick, that's why this is referred to as the initial 53.
Right. Because it does feel like it ain't over with.
It's not complete. Yeah. And there are some other injury designations, and we'll get to some of that stuff, some names that people know. But John, I don't want to steal any more of your time, brother. Go ahead. What stood out to you?
What stood out to me, for one, was I thought that Miles Bryant did enough to make this roster. His time from last year, carrying over his time in training camp this year. I thought that Miles Bryant had a damn good training camp. And so I look at Houston moving on from him. Combined with, they're only going with 4 cornerbacks on the roster. Derek Stingley, Jalen Smith,
Smith, and Tremont Smith.
Tremont Smith, who I thought that he played well to be a CB4. So, like his role would be what it would be. But aside from Jalen Petrie, who was a nickel cornerback, there's nobody else. So that just brings me to maybe they feel like they have Jalen Smith who can step in if needed to play inside at nickel So that's one of my takeaways. But also, and listen, man, I thought that Jacob Johnson was a better fullback.
Yes,
than
Brooks
British Brooks. British
Yeah.
Brooks is a running back. He was kept. Was brought.
He's got some fullback flex. Let's be honest. Let's keep it a buck with him.
I mean, it's there, but he's not a better fullback. And a lot of people brought up special teams, and I'm like, okay, well, to be fair to Brooks, he got hurt last year, but you're looking at 12 or 13, 11 career tackles on special teams compared to 1 or 2 to British Brooks last year. And maybe looking at what he did in the preseason. So I thought that one for me was just a little bit off because I saw the impact Johnson had when the running backs were running behind him. And I thought that brought some value for a team that wants to establish the run. And also just looking at Nick Kelly's time in the NFL going to New England and how much they utilize fullbacks. And also you look at, 3 tight ends. Johnson was able to line up in line.
Yep.
Brooks can't do that. We haven't seen him do it.
We haven't seen him do it. Yeah.
So I thought that one for me was where I was just like, man, that's kind of a little odd. But again, man, this is the initial 53-man roster. It's funny because the Texans in the graphic, they kind of made sure that you see there's a light over the word initial. If you look close enough, which could change. And I'm under the assumption that between now, I want to say before the first week of school. I mean, Lord help me. The first week
of school? Somebody's got it on the mind.
The first week of the NFL season, but about week 6, which is their bye week, I think that we're going to see the Houston Texans and Nick Caserio kind of revamp this offense with his roster altogether.
Can I jump in where you were? I'm sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go first, and then I'll bring up something else that I wanted to bring up. That's today.
To me, there was a reoccurring theme, and you just hit on a couple players. I'm going to make 2 points. One, look at the people they let go. Jakob Johnson is a New England Patriot. Where did Miles Bryant come to Houston from? The New England Patriots. So for all of the conversation about the Patriot way, those are
feel like they're trying to shed away from it?
Well, I don't know. I think those are just 2 individual circumstances that happen to play out that way. I agree with your Jakob Johnson evaluation and overview. I was miffed, but maybe they think and I wonder really with the British Brooks, can you get? I'm making up a number. Can you get 8 actual fullback plays out of him in conjunction with the special teams? But also, British Brooks gives you some assurance in that backfield if you move on from a Dameon Pierce. And now British Brooks moves up in that running back room order, and he can go perhaps get some of those tough yards from that standpoint. So I'm just looking at the dominoes and what that means. The second thing that jumps out to me, Frank Ross clearly has his thumbprint on how this roster. And you talk about British Brooks. I was very surprised that Justin Watson, I was surprised that Justin Watson was the 7th receiver. Now, on my personal 53 man, I did have him making it, but I didn't feel good about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I was right about Justin Watson, but what is he? Special teams. We just mentioned British Brooks, special teams. Who else am we thinking about?
Well, that's who I was going to bring up. Think about Nick Niemann. Getting rid of Nick Niemann, who they gave $4 million. $4
million to. That's crazy.
And
I'm going to come back to that. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that because he's another guy that's a special teamer. Tremont Smith, special teamer. Jamal Hill is on that list. Now, I did not have him in, but he makes it. What about a guy in that defensive line room? I think about a young guy. I think about Dylan Horton, a draft selection out of TCU a couple years ago in that CJ Will Anderson draft. So special teams clearly factored into what they were doing, and rightfully so. But I was just really taken back by how glaring it was, the emphasis on special teams. So that's that piece.
Do y'all think that Nick Caserio had to do Howie a solid and release Harrison Bryant since they had to release and move on from Keaton Green?
No, I don't think that. Some people may think that you're being serious right now.
You know what, man? I'm sorry. We got CJ Gardner Johnson.
I'm sorry I fleeced you.
You know what? I release him to make it a little bit better, perception wise. Just joking.
I mean, you don't want to pour it on for that guy. But we knew that he was not going to make it in Philadelphia. Remember when we did the shows and everybody decided that this guy was going to have a complete rebound and be a all pro, and he can't even make it out of camp. Those people need to apologize.
Yeah, it was worth a shot. And hey, listen, there are late bloomers in this thing, and maybe he can be a late bloomer. Sound like he dealt with injuries. Did Kenyon Green, the former first round, 15th overall pick for Nick Caserio. So I don't think there's any plans for him to return to Houston. So I think we better stick with the river and streams that we're accustomed to right now. The other thing, and I know you want to move, Michael, I had initially the Texans with 9. I had initially 10 on the offensive line. They end up with 9. They just flat out released Trent Brown. I did not see that coming. Now, again, there's conversation.
Bring him back.
Yeah, there are plans to try and bring him back. And again, the veteran designation on the practice squad. So, because
he's not completely healthy, right?
No, here's the thing. He had been cleared. They said he was cleared to participate in practice, but they weren't letting him. So by designation, he was on the pup. But they say he's like clear to move around. I don't know. It's something weird. I don't know what's going on over there with that. What was the other thing? If you're going to have the third quarterback, you take it away from somewhere. We talked about the tight end room, just having 2 right now. The defensive line room, they really beefed that up. I had them taking 8 D linemen with the flexibility of the Nico Archery. They go 10 on the defensive line. Congratulations to Tommy Togiai. He was what was it? Mr. Consistent is what D'Amico calls him. So he makes the roster. And then D'Amico Archery. So you're going to get some of these names. And I'm sorry, Michael. You're going to get some of these names. D'Amico Archery, Tank Dell, Kurt Heinisch, reserve/physically unable to perform.
That's what I wanted to ask you guys about too, man. Like, I didn't know if we was going to continue that conversation, but are some of these players just placeholders right now?
Some of them, yes.
Do y'all feel that way? Okay, because I look at D'Amico Archery.
Yeah, he's going to play. When he's healthy, they love him.
Kurt Heinisch, you know, what happens when he comes back, when he's healthy?
They told Tommy T.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So is there a competition there? Obviously, Jalen Reed, they'll make room for Jalen Reed whenever he's ready to come back because they need him to. But looking at adding Graham Mertz as a third quarterback, does that make it easier for them to release him and bring him back to the practice squad? One of those other players are ready to come back, especially players that they absolutely need.
The Graham Mertz dynamic is interesting, fellas, because it's not like just because you put Graham Mertz on the 53 now, the moment he goes back to the practice squad, he's open to the rest of the league. So
they protect him. They'll be able to have 4 protected players. The thing is,
because of the basic quarterback rule, yes.
Right. I don't know if you would Graham Mertz, like how much do you want to risk that? But
he's taking up a roster spot.
He's taking
no matter how they slice it. He's taking up a spot.
3 quarterbacks in general is a waste.
Most teams are doing it. Some do.
Yeah, if you get into a game and you're down to your third quarterback, well, just go ahead and chalk up the loss. Who cares at that point, right?
Yeah, it can get tough.
Unless you're Cleveland.
Hey,
Cleveland was going to keep 4, then they got lucky and they wanted one of their crappy quarterbacks.
The linebacker room, Jamal Hill over Nick Neiman. I had Nick Neiman making it, but apparently Jamal Hill, I had Nick Neiman making it, coming over from the Los Angeles Chargers, some experience there. I'm going to be honest, I was underwhelmed with his physical presence. He didn't strike me as really a point of attack. He didn't scream swarm to me. So hey, Jamal Hill,
good on it. Ultimate business move by him, though. Seriously, that guy was here for a couple of months and got $4 million. Didn't even have to play a real game.
Yeah,
what a hustler.
I can say this since we're right here because that's the second time you referenced it. Because I got into it on social media with a few people and sparred for a little bit. You start adding up this money, and I was really freaking out when they were talking about, and I know we'll get into it in the next segment, the Cam Robinson being on the trade block. Caserio has to be very careful with the amount of dead money
he's going to take
that
up.
Because he's got contracts coming in the next year and a half to 2 years. CJ, Will, Daniil.
Re-upping on Nico.
I was getting ready to say Nico's deal.
Yeah.
And what if Joe Mixon comes back? Because you got he missed time last year too. What if Joe Mixon comes back and has another Pro Bowl caliber season? You're going to re-sign him for real starting, not top of the market, but real starting running back money. If none of these other guys, Chubb or DP or Woody Marks, if none of these other guys can have the impact of a Joe Mixon, you got to get ready to pay Joe too. So it's just, I think people just kind of poo-pooed and was dismissive of Nick Neiman's $4 million, the dead cap hit. $3.75 million of that being, you got to eat it this year, but people don't understand. It's still a hard cap league, and you still have a baseline floor that owners must spend. So anyway, I'm not going to bore the people with the GM gymnastics, but you can't just be dismissive. And what was it? It was dead cap hit for Cam Robinson is 8.75. You just can't eat that. You can't.
No,
it's not good business.
I wasn't a fan of considering trading him in the first place. Huh?
Well, I tell you what, in the next segment, we'll discuss the discussion that was out there that he could have been on the move today and what is expected to be the starting offensive line now for this team. That's next year on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Oh, I might want to hit a button first. My bad. All right, before we get back to that discussion on the Texans, this episode is brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season's right around the corner. It's basically here at this point. Sitting here talking about rosters being set and whatnot. Well, it's time to set your fantasy roster over with fantasy football with Yahoo. Everyone's researching, drafting, and building their championship squads. If you haven't joined a league yet, now is the time, and it's all happening at Yahoo Fantasy. This year, it's the perfect time to get in over there and get in on the action because they got a bunch of new cool stuff going on. With the season kickoff on September 4th, now's the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers you so many fun ways to compete. Want more ways to play? Try the brand new Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League mode, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there is one team left standing. Want to play instantly with friends? Try the new Draft with Friends mode. If you prefer the classics, get your crew together and go ahead and go head-to-head in a private league. And if you have no crew, well, no problem. Join a public league. It's the easiest way to play. The NFL season kicks off September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league now. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. All right, the squad show rolls on Tuesday. Michael Conner, Stan Norfleet, and John Hickman. We appreciate you guys stopping by. If you're watching live, of course, you can watch this at any point on this YouTube page. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And, of course, make sure you're going and checking out John's daily work. I know that he talked about something we'll talk about in a bit with Joe Mixon in his most recent episode that's out there.
Yes.
But we will get into now the discussion that was happening early in the day. And I saw that this morning, and I was a little bit surprised like everybody else. We've had a lot of talk, of course, about the offensive line. We know where they're going in terms of the offensive line, who the starting unit is at this point. Aaron Wilson had that today in his stuff over at KPRC2. Ursery at the left tackle, Tomlinson at the left guard, Andrews center, Ingram the right guard, and then Titus Howard at the right tackle position. Cam Robinson has been the $14 million talking piece that we've had a lot of discussion on. Apparently, the Texans were looking to trade him. And Stan, as you mentioned, it's a lot of dead money to be taken on. But what did you guys think? Do you think it's the right move keeping him? Would you have been mad if they had moved on from him?
I think it's the right move. Mad wouldn't be the word I would use to describe the emotion. Maybe confused simply because, expensive, yes, he is. But what were the alternatives in terms of potential breaking the glass emergency backups? Would have been Zach Thomas, would have been Austin Deckles, who they traded to the Chargers. And I think that because this team, you got a rookie out there, Ursery, who I think is the right decision to roll with. You got Titus Howard over there, right? You need someone that can step in just in case. Too many times for the Houston Texans, guys have had to step in, but the production wasn't as good, so the drop-off was extremely bad. Cam Robinson is a vet. He's been in the league for some time. Is he the best option at left tackle? No, I think Ursery flat out outplayed him, but he is the best alternative just in case. And I think that has value just enough for 1 year. It's not like you got to deal with him after next year. You can move on from him. You can reassess and bring in maybe a inexpensive backup or draft one late in the rounds. But I think it's smart and in Houston's best interest to keep him moving forward, unless the return is undeniable. But do you risk trading him and messing up your depth for a 5th rounder? Is that worth it? I'm not sure it is.
No, the concept of moving on from Cam Robinson, outside of the financial implications, everything that you're saying from a depth and a competitive piece, it just didn't make sense. Now, let me be clear, because we live in this world, right, where if you put something on social media or whatever your stance is, if you say something, you love that thing and you hate everything else.
You're a hater.
So divisive. And I'm just like, I'm just making a case for how the football team comes together on paper and how you have to start parsing this roster. It didn't make sense. If Ariante Ursery goes out there and gets hurt or he's bad, you were stuck, had you moved on from Cam Robinson, with putting the swing tackle Blake Fisher over there. Well, if he's awful on the right, granted he got better as the preseason went on, but no, I don't want Blake Fisher over there protecting CJ's blind side. Now, I understand, and I did see the reports, Michael, that it looks as if it's all but done, and that it may be done at that left tackle spot. We got a week and a half.
That was from. I just was the line.
No,
that
I saw the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. No.
We know that he's usually not
I made
wrong.
this on social media. I
need to
wonder
see
how
it.
much of the trade rumors kicked off because Cam knew I came here to be a starter. I've been a starter my career. I want to continue to start, but he just got his spot took. No, not to be disrespectful.
Yeah,
I do kind of wonder how much is it the player and the agent trying to move on from Houston compared to Houston moving on from the player at this time. I think it may be hand in hand.
And listen, I hear you, John, but the fact that they did end up moving Austin Deculus tells me that Caserio did have tackles on the mind. Now, I think here's what I think Cam Robinson, just like you said, his representation, say, look, man, if my dude ain't going to start, give us free. Yeah. Atlanta just lost. So, yeah, Atlanta.
Caleb
and of McGarry. And then you just had the Chargers, who obviously lost Rashawn Slater. So you had teams that's like, and somebody else went down somewhere else, but you had teams that's like, hey, man, and I don't think the value was there, but I do believe Caserio was trying to do him a solid, and had the value been there, Caserio might have pulled the trigger. Yeah. I understand that everybody else believes that, and I do believe the future of Ariante Ursery is that left tackle protecting C.J. Stroud. I am just and I put it out there on social media all day long. Experience matters in this league. And if the talent and abilities are equal, D'Amico asked the question that we all wanted him to ask. Simply, are you about upside or are you about experience? And as it pertains to Ariante Ursery, he chose upside. I just need to see it go. If it's week 1 and they run out there and Ursery's at left tackle, then I'll take the L on that. I just never seen D'Amico Wally pip anyone, and it's apparent that Cam Robinson is the first one in the D'Amico era to get it. I just think it's interesting. Again, I tell you, every time Christian Harris leaves, Christian Harris was gone for 4 months. Came right back and got his starting position as soon as he was out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, I mean, it's wild to me. Every time Dameon Pierce gets hurt, people want to kick him out the building. Dameon Pierce comes right back, and he's number 2 behind Joe Mixon. So
now,
I'm
glad you mentioned it. We didn't get a chance to. Is keeping Dameon Pierce the right decision?
I don't think it's a terrible decision right now with Mixon being out. We're going to talk Mixon here in a minute specifically, but I thought it was fine.
The offensive line. Look, this offensive line, and I saw somebody else was, I think it was my man Nomad Scott. He's a friend of this channel. Appreciate Nomad Scott. Me and him traded some things on social today. I think we should have some cautious optimism about what this offensive line will do in 2025. I think it was so bad last year that anything other than bad, I don't want people to mistake it and have expectations that means good.
Which is why it's
Like,
smart to keep Cam Robinson.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
No, I mean, I agree. I think that anything, like you said, anything can happen. I'm more so on the side of injuries could happen. We've seen it happen before. I know you're looking at the adjustment period for a young man, second round pick, albeit he was projected to go number one for a lot of people, going through a 17-game, 18-week schedule and how, that could be on the body and mentally he could just kind of not be there. We've seen it happen with Kenyon Green. We've seen it happen with Drew Scruggs, Jared Patterson, the other offensive lineman the Texans have drafted, though I believe
Blake
this
Fisher.
is Blake Fisher, perfect example, who plays tackle. But I believe this is the better player. But I get that. So when people look at trading Cam Robinson, you have to sell me on what the alternative is. And there's not a universe out there unless you would have gotten a fourth or a third. And I don't think that's possible to where you can sell me on that, because just in case you don't make it home tonight, there's nobody else there to kind of make everything else in your life easier. And I think Cam Robinson brings that value.
And that's where I'm at. Go ahead, Michael.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I think we just need to understand. And sometimes I get frustrated and I get excited because I don't know that people really grasp what's happening here. You have a franchise quarterback that's one of the top 10, 11, 12 quarterbacks in this league who's about to walk into $60 million a year as long as he performs decently. You cannot risk that for a future third, fourth, fifth round pick. Like, it's not worth it. And that's the only thing I keep saying about Ursary. My man, No Man Scott, asked me, he said, Stan, if it were up to you, what lineup would you roll out there? I said, I'm consistent. I'm going out there with experience, given Cam Robinson's just 29 years old, 105 career starts, 5 of those in the postseason. And I'm like, look, I get it. He did not grade great last year. He was awful. He was a bottom 5 tackle by grade. But there's a reason Caserio gave him that money. And you gave him that money and you rolled him out there day one of camp because you believed he was the better player. In Kansas City, Josh Simmons from Ohio State, the tackle that was linked to the Texans, he went out there to protect Patrick Mahomes coming off a patella tear day one of training camp. So, like, the Texans showed us something by the acquisition and how they started. So if it were me, I would go week one, and he asked me very clearly, Stan, would you start Ariante Ursary week one? I would not. I would go with Cam Robinson based on the information I have. D'Amico watches every snap. So I would go Cam Robinson, Lakin. They're going to go Jake Andrews. I would go Ed Ingram, experience, and I would go Titus at right tackle. To me, that's the most experienced line that helps you implement a culture and a structure, and it allows you to integrate young fella Ursary in there over time, and then where you give him some confidence and he roll. If this thing goes bad, and unfortunately, and I should say, if it's unfortunate that going bad has some, I don't even want to say it, long-term detriment. But you have to think about that. So anyway, I've belabored that point several times. But that's it. D'Amico answered.
One thing I
chose upside over experience.
One thing that I didn't mention in the first segment, Luke Lachey not making the roster, being one of those third tight ends, being in the camp all year.
They said he's probably going to the practice squad too, correct?
I hope so. He's a guy that I think the value that he brings is, hey, I've been here and I know exactly what you guys are asking and looking for. I still wonder how they go about between what they're going to do at tight end and the additional help that they were looking for to be provided by Brevin Jordan that wasn't replaced on the initial 53-man roster. So that kind of worries me a little bit. Like, I know we're talking about the offensive line right now, but that does worry me a little bit because of run support, and I think that matters. This was a team when they went out there, whatever first-team unit, they were able to score points because they were able to run the ball, control the clock, but also, more importantly, bring the pressure to the defense. Now you don't have either of those guys that can line up in the backfield that we've seen line up in the backfield to do that for you in that wide spot or inline. So I'm kind of curious to see how they go about that.
Well, and speaking of, you talk about run support
H-back,
there.
excuse me.
How about the guy running the football? Of course, not going to be there, the main character. We'll talk about the running back position here in a brief moment. Locked on Texans Squad Show. Hey, we have an important request for you guys. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make you and your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thank you for helping us out. And as the squad show continues, now we talk about the all-important position of running back for the Houston Texans. Because, guys, the Texans today did put Mr. Joe Mixon on the, what's the exact list? Non-football injury list. He's required to miss
non-football injury.
Okay. So he's required to miss the first 4 games of the season before he's eligible to return. Mm-hmm. We'll see how it goes. They've been very vague on it. Aaron Wilson's report with that long piece of all the stuff says that it's been, I think the exact word he's been is a difficult rehab or something like that. It doesn't sound great when you hear it.
And it's the second time he's had this procedure. He had it again back in 2021, I do believe.
Yeah, so it's not an encouraging thing to hear and to see. Obviously, John, you brought it up a minute ago with the running back position. The Texans keeping 4 running backs on the active roster: Nick Chubb, Woody Marks, 5. Damian Pierce, Starry, and British Brooks. They put him as a running back, but I guess it's a fullback.
He's basically the fullback. Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing in today's football, right? There's no more traditional fullbacks, is there? I don't even know.
Well, there are, and I think that's what this team wants to do. They want to have an element of physicality, bringing the fullback back into the fold, and that will be British Brooks' role.
So we have those guys, though. Obviously, Nick Chubb is going to get the I would assume, I think we'd all probably agree when they step out there first game of the season against the Rams, first running back off the bench to get a carry is Nick Chubb. I would imagine you're going to see some Damian Pierce as well. But what do you guys think about, first of all, how concerning is it that, we still don't have a really clear picture on Joe Mixon and what's going on and how long it's going to take? And can they survive, if it's just 4 games, can they survive those 4 without him in the mix?
If it's just 4 games, I think that's the big concern for me. If it's 4 games, I think they'll be able to manage. But because Joe hasn't been around, how the Houston Texans run things, especially with D'Amico Ryans at the helm, tight lip, you're not going to learn a lot. You're not going to get a lot. Even if you ask questions, you're not going to get a lot. And so about a month ago, maybe a month and a half, started training camp, Aaron Wilson reported that he was still slated to start week 1. That's Aaron Wilson. Aaron Wilson is in the know. But now, NFL is 4 games out to start the year, and I think that's why it's so concerning. So when we say if it's 4 games, I think they'll manage. My problem is I'm not sure it'll only be 4 games.
Adam Schefter reported that today he did a live, and I forget what program it was on. Maybe it was on Get Up. It could have been on First Take. And Adam Schefter was frustrated. He says there's 0 information. He was speaking for the fan. Adam Schefter was like, if I'm a fan in Houston, I'd like to know what's going on with my Pro Bowl running back. You've given me nothing. Like, we haven't even seen him on the sideline at practices. They haven't seen him in the building.
We've seen Tank Dell more than we've seen Joe Mixon.
Absolutely.
And Tank Dell had a gruesome injury, so it's frustrating.
Adam Schefter's language, if you go back and look at the things he put on social media, and if you go look at this live hit he did on the 4-Letter Network, he says there are some people that believe this will cost Mixon the entire season.
That's the case. There's I don't want to say completely screwed. You never know, but that's
because
it's concerning.
Somebody just put it in the chat. Shout out to King Kobe 713 Gaming. Listen, it's giving Christian Harris vibes. And
I tell y'all all the time, teams lie.
I mean, look, I watch a baseball team lie all the time about injuries. It's nothing new to me.
But
there's something in the water here in Houston. The professional teams don't want to tell you the truth about their players.
The frustration is okay, how serious is it? How long will he be out? But then also, Stan and MC, have you done enough for the backup plans?
That's where
if it's only at 4 games, I'm okay. But because of the limited amount of information,
John, what's the highest number you'd go where you start feeling not okay?
At the bye week 6.
Okay, that makes sense.
And by that time, Houston does have about $13 million in cap space. By that time, that would have given them a great amount of time to assess what the running back room is without Joe Mixon. And have they done enough? Okay, a lot of faith in Nick Chubb to hold it down. Nick Chubb went out there. Jacob Johnson was blocking for him too. Jacob Johnson, first team offense, 5 yards a carry. Can that hold over in the regular season? Woody Mark shown the ability to be able to create tough runs, yards after contact, get upfield, and also the ability to catch out of the backfield. Okay, boom. Now you're looking at 2 backs. After them, there's not a running back on this current roster that has me believing that they are a valuable piece to the running back by committee based off of this offseason and the history and past. So 4 games, you can hold out on that. But past that, that's when it gets worrying to me.
Well, you got to remember the Texans' schedule came in, I think, at the 14th easiest schedule on paper based off 2024 winning percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't as daunting of a schedule as last year's was. It's also favorable in the distribution of not having to do a ton of back-to-back road travel and playing the inclement weather late in the year and things of that nature. I understand your point, John. I'm just trying to add a little different angle. Joe Mixon just needs to be ready to go in December and January.
My sentiment as well. I said that on Tuesday's show.
This team should be good enough, as awful as this division is. This is the worst division in pro football. This team should be able, at a bare minimum, yes, is this in the NFC South?
Close. Yeah, these two,
the two Souths.
The two Souths are a joke usually.
So,
it ain't going down in the South.
No.
So what I'm saying is, look, Joe, whatever it is, give me December and January football where you look like Joe Mixon. We should be able to tread water until then.
So you'd be fine, Stan, on that, Stan? You'd be fine if you
I didn't
came
say
back
I'd be fine.
first. No, I'm saying, okay, how do you think that fair if week 14 at Kansas City is his first game of the season?
If he's healthy, he's 100% healthy.
Yeah. It's just
he'll be fine. He'll put up what he put up.
I'm talking about the team. How's the team at that point?
Treading water. Some guys are banged up. But look, here's the formula for how you avoid this, right? Here's how you navigate this.
I want to hear this.
First things first, bad division. Second thing, the defense is going to have to carry the water. But we knew that coming into this year, even with Joe. The design of the offense is not going to be predicated in scoring a ton of points. This is going to be dink and dunk, run, 3 yards, cloud of dust, stay on schedule, 3rd and 2, throw a little check down, hand the ball off, first down, move the chains, Kaimi, would you bail us out a few times? That's what they're going to do on offense. This offense will be mid in terms of everybody else in the league. They'll come in somewhere in the middle.
They were mid last year, weren't they?
And I think they're going to be mid again this year.
I don't think they're going to be that bad. I really do think they're going to be better than last year. I think it's hard to be worse than last year.
We can debate that. My point is the goal is defense, you go create short fields. Defense, you go take the ball away and limit possessions for the opposition. Defense, Stingley, we need some more of them pick sixes and all them other people getting involved. Aziz, catch the ball, all this other stuff. Defense is going to have to set the tone, the tempo. Cool. What happens then? CJ, don't turn the ball over. CJ doesn't have he doesn't have to have a historic touchdown interception ratio like he had in that rookie season where he was offensive rookie of the year and an MVP candidate at several points. He just can't turn the ball over as much as he did last year. Don't turn the ball over. Let the defense do their thing. And you can win games, especially against your division opponents. Oh, last part. This Nick Haley offensive line, you don't have to be great. We would like for you to be great, but I don't think it's the skill position. I don't think you have enough skill in the group to be great. But they have to. They have to be able to go put their nose down to the grindstone and go grind 3 yards when everybody knows you need 3 yards. They have to have that mindset, and they have to be put in position to execute. If you do that, last part, they went 2-1 without Joe Mixon when he had the high ankle sprain, the hip drop tackle versus Chicago. They went 2-1 with Cam Akers. And one of those games, it was a Minnesota got thrashed, one against Jacksonville, one at home against Buffalo. So they should be able to go 2-2 without Joe Mixon, minimum.
Yeah, and again, if it's at 4 games, I'm optimistic if it's at 4 games. But once you get past 4 games, I think the concern is how long will we have to figure these things out? Albeit, I've been criticized by saying this. I think that the lead back should be the rookie because he can do multiple things. I think, catching out of the backfield, he's shown the ability to be able to run. What I do like is, and I'm glad you pointed this out, Stan, will this offensive line be better? I think that they will, but I think we'll see a much better effort in the run. So it should be easier. Like Dar Ray, albeit, against second and third stringers, he was able to run the ball.
Dar Ray looked good. Yeah,
looked good, right? So if the offensive line just run blocks better, then that allows for Houston to be able to continue to do what they want to do, and that is run the ball well, control the clock, play with short distance to downs or point of success, get into the red zone, just continue to move forward and not be knocked backwards a lot. They have to be a much better red zone offense. I think we can all agree on that. So a lot of the success that we should see from the run game is predicated on the improvements the offensive line has made and the strides that they've made, stacking good days and good weeks and good games and good moments. But past 4 games, man, I don't care who you are, missing one of your best players for an extended amount of time, eventually it's going to hurt you.
And to me, Joe Mixon is not just one of the best players. And I put it on social media. I said it last year when they signed him. I remember being on the air here in Houston on a radio station where people know I used to be at 790. And I said it then. I said, Joe Mixon at the end of this season is going to be the soul and the second most valuable player of the offense. And he was. If you take Joe Mixon off last year's team and put Devin Singletary back on there, I don't know that they win the division and get in the playoffs. I think Joe Mixon was critical in what
he was. No doubt about that. He was.
And if you look at what happened at Kansas City, Joe Mixon got busy. So I think you're not just losing the players, my point, MC. They're losing the attitude. He's the thumper of the offense. He's the one, when Joe Mixon is out there warming up, the other dudes on defense, Roquan Smith and Chris Jones and those type of players, those guys go, okay. Like they know when you look out there and Nick Chubb is, quite frankly, respectfully, a shell of himself and Dare Gumbawale, and what version of Damian Pierce are we going to get? And respectfully, a rookie Woody Marks. Here comes Kyle Hamilton creeping down into the box, because everybody knows if you can make a team one-dimensional, and that's my fear. My fear is if this offensive line is bad and they become one-dimensional, and you're going to ask CJ to drop back 30 times, 35 times a night, that's a bad.
I hope Nico stays healthy then, because yikes.
Yeah.
It's bad stuff, man. Let's not do it. I want positive, guys. I want something good.
Well,
no,
I think
we got to be real.
Some positives.
I know. No, trust me, I know.
I do think
it's a
some
significant.
positives.
No, it's a significant blow. It's a significant blow. There's no denying it. Like, this is not long term. I think you guys are right. I think if you get through the bye week, okay, whatever. Is it perfect? No. It pretty much guarantees you're going to lose to Baltimore for sure when you go play them again.
Right.
But like,
but
if
they're
you get
going to
through
lose
there
with
and
Joe.
if he comes back after that, though, that's fine. Okay, whatever.
Here's a positive. This is something that I mentioned on the Tuesday show. You got an offensive coordinator that has a ton of experience deploying running back by committee during his time, not as a play caller, but understanding the importance of that during his time between 2015 and 2021, 22 in New England, and Nick Caley. So he understands the value in matchups and what back should maybe have this amount of carries or in this situation, what back do I have on the roster? Do they have on the roster that could maybe be more valuable in this moment? So I do think if we're looking for positives, if we're searching for a positive, I think that Nick Haley's New England background helps Houston in this case with Joe Mixon out.
I just want to say this. It's one of those. I played for Al Groh, who is a brother of Nick Saban as well as Bill Belichick. They all studied under Bill Parcells. So the philosophies are very similar. They would say things like what I'm about to say. The answer is on the roster. My point being is, of the 5 running backs that made the 53 today, if Joe Mixon can't go or doesn't look like himself throughout the course of the season, I don't know where another running back is that's going to be on Mixon's level that you can go and get. This isn't a year where we have a disgruntled Saquon Barkley. Like, who else is on the market that would even be tradable from a bad team? I can't recall. I don't know a player that's available right now. And that
Dear Atlanta, please be terrible and trade Bijan Robinson back.
No chance in hell.
I know.
Maybe Algier
in the division.
Algier is in Atlanta.
Hey, you talking about Algier? Who am I thinking about? I'm thinking about Jackson.
Tajay Spears.
Hear me out. Lamar Jackson gets hurt out for the season. They trade Derrick Henry. Let's go. Figured it out.
I know we got another segment or break to go to. So
yeah,
this may be the perfect time.
Let's go to it, and we'll get our final thoughts on roster configuration. I do want us to hear from CJ today. There was a clip of him on the offensive line. We'll do that here in just a brief second. Locked on Texans Squad Show. Before we get there, though, I want to tell you guys about, today it's a big day because August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday. Football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches for just 24 hours. Now we're winding down on that 24 hours. FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. I'm just going to keep riding with it. CJ Stroud for MVP because he's going to throw for 5,000 yards. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bet now because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. All right, we're going to start winding down in our final segment of the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, and John Hickman here with you. We'll, of course, be back later this week, where the roster could change between now and then. It has changed a lot, of course, in the last 24 hours because they've made all the cuts and whatnot. The initial 53 is out, but we do know we've talked a lot about the offensive line. So CJ Stroud apparently is making the rounds today. They put him on ESPN and they put him on
he was on NFL Network.
NFL Network, yeah. Good Morning
His
Football.
first tour of the offseason, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's literally. You didn't hear him anywhere. Which is also funny because they put him on NFL Network, which ESPN owns now, but whatever. Here's CJ today being asked by Stephen A. Smith about the Texans' offensive line, and, well, you'll hear.
Did you bribe them? What is it that you did in the offseason to get them to make sure you don't get sacked 52 times this upcoming season like you did last year? Because, damn it, what are you supposed to do if you're not protected? How do you feel about your offensive line this year?
I feel great. I think, we brought in a lot of great pieces. Of course, we know we traded Laramie, but I feel like we brought in a rookie who is hungry, wants to get better, is doing great in camp. Titus is back at tackle. He looks great. So we got a lot of good pieces, man, and versatile. We're young. We have a new scheme. I think that had to do a lot of it. That had to do a lot with it last year. Was like,
well, for some reason, decided to just stop playing. I love technology. It's the best.
Yeah.
But we got to the important part there at the beginning. Stan, I know you tried a minute ago to make us feel like we shouldn't be dead set on Ursa's playing left tackle. He's playing left tackle. Tackle. He just told us.
No, listen, I was the one telling John, get him off the right side. I screamed it for a week and a half. Put the man in the left tackle.
He is starting at left tackle.
He's starting.
He didn't bring up Cam Robinson in that clip.
We'll see.
What's happening?
Go ahead with your. Was that it? You gonna stop right there?
I was just gonna ask you if you wanted to admit if you're ready to admit that he's gonna be the starting left tackle week 1
when they go out there at the Rams, 3:00 local time on September 7th. Then I will admit, Ursary is the starting left tackle.
It's gonna take all that.
I need to see it.
It's gonna happen.
And
it's happening.
And listen, and let me be clear. See, here's what bothers me about the Ursary conversation. Because the Ursary conversation is not rooted in as much logic and data as the fan base wants to admit, right? The Ursary, all this is you read a report from guys like us that told you he looked good. And then for 5 minutes versus Minnesota's backups, and for 2 minutes versus Detroit's backups, you saw him look pretty damn good. You did not watch him play at Minnesota, so you can't tell me you saw a single blinking game of him dominating NFL competition.
What are you talking about? I watch Minnesota football all the time. PJ Fleck is my favorite coach.
PJ Fleck's an excellent, excuse me. PJ Fleck's an excellent coach, wrote a book, all the things, I get it. This is about hope. We hope Ursary is the guy, and I do too. But my front office NFL mindset makes me think about the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is you have to make a decision. Not everybody is ready to play off the top. Maybe this kid is. But if you're wrong, CJ's forehead could be the first thing to hit the grass because that's the blind side. You got to think about that. That's my only deal. So if he's a starter, then he's a starter. Let's roll. I think his future, his upside is clear. I see the projection. I just don't think he's a better left tackle than Cam Robinson today right now. If Cam Robinson wasn't on this roster and the backup was Blake Fisher, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I don't think Cam is good. I just think he's better week 1 than Ursary for the LA Rams with CJ Stroud standing there.
You know what I'm looking forward to, John, is when we do the first post-game show after that Rams game, and we get to come on and we get to talk about Jaden Higgins having like 85 yards, and then Ursary just.
Oh man, listen here. If Higgins has 85 out the gate, just give me 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. You know what I liked about that CJ Stroud clip? He kind of, if you read between the lines, he kind of said like, as much as y'all talked about me in national media. And this is why Locked On is a great network that we work for, because we are your team, your local team every day. Schematically, we're in a better place than I was last year. And that is going to play into the favor of who I am as a quarterback and my offensive line and the skill weapons around me. So I like that he pointed that out, because so many times players struggle and it's immediately the player or the head coach that gets the blame. It's hard to do that for the Texans because the head coach, man, is one of the better defenses in the NFL. So everybody kind of looked at CJ Stroud and attached the sophomore slump to him. In reality, it was more than that. So I kind of like that he stuck up for himself a little bit on the lowest of keys and the nicest of ways. CJ Stroud ain't gonna never really get too disrespectful. But I also love it.
About slower.
It was. It was, but it wasn't.
That's a CJ shot.
That's a CJ shot. So if you're around him and if you've seen him enough and talk to him, you kind of know the shot is there. He's a Cali kid. He gonna find a way, cut. But he did it in the most respectful way. But I also love that he gave a shout out, as we talk about him, to Ursary. Do I think that was a Laramie Tunsil slight? Not sure, but I think that everybody in that room on that team understands the difference between offensive lineman texting the quarterback, "I'll die for you," compared to Laramie Tunsil, with what fans hate to talk about his fashion statements and his shopping.
About none of that.
I know you don't, but what I'm speaking to is the toughness, the tough mentality that they're looking for. Man, it's the reason why they moved on from him.
So listen. Let's be clear. Because this pisses me off. And the fan base and people over here in the comments be pissing me off about this too. Two things can be true. Ursary can be a damn good prospect. He could have been a value in terms of falling to the Texans there at 48. But this notion Do we understand it is highly unlikely that Ursery performs better than Laramie Tunsil, who has been a top 5 left tackle in this league for 7 years? It is highly unlikely. Do we understand that?
You played on the defensive side of the ball, right?
Go ahead. Yeah.
You played on the defense, right?
I did. I was an edge defender linebacker.
Okay. How many career sacks did you have?
Oh,
at any level, you got after the quarterback, right?
Yeah. So I mean, make it a let's see, I led her 3 years. I probably had 10 sacks in 3 years.
Okay. That's just in college and high school. I'm sure you had
high school, I had probably 30 in 3 years.
Okay, so check this out, man. When you see an offensive line not protect their quarterback after that quarterback got hit, rocked, knocked out, defensive players are getting into their face. When you see that as an edge rusher or a defender all together, what would have been your thoughts?
You salivate.
You love it, right?
Because you understand that they're not on the same page. They don't even come to the defense of their franchise player or their most valuable player.
And
so
as a defender, you kind of look at that like, your offensive line soft. I could just do this
Yellow
again.
soft. Yeah.
And so when I look, I wanted to bring that up because we've talked about your background, not extensively, of course, but I know you play defense. I know you play the edge rush. I know you got to the quarterback. You know that if you can do that as a defender, you won. You're going to win every rep because the offensive line is quote unquote weak. And I'm not calling grown men weak. Collectively, if you ain't coming after the aid of your quarterback, then you let the defense know you already lost and the defense won. Now, when you hear a quarterback say that I got a guy that texts me, hey, man, I'm going to die for you, albeit, of course, I'm sure that's just like football. We know that's football talk. And the perception of the offensive line is different. You have to highlight that. You got to give your offensive line something.
No, that's a whole bunch of hope, John.
Hey, man, listen. But what's not hope is how many times in 2 years did we see defenders not only get into C.J. Stroud's face, kind of not punk him, but knock him over, hit him and sack him in offensive line. They do jack nothing.
That part is fair, but you also have to look at the other part. I watched the best defensive player in the league right now is Myles Garrett. And I watched Laramie Tunsil go one-on-one in a playoff game and lock his ass up. So if we're going to talk about the penalties that I can't stand from Tunsil, if we're going to talk about the lack of physicality at the point of contact with Laramie Tunsil, then we're going to have to talk about all them 5-6 consecutive Pro Bowls that he owned and being in the top 20 whatever in these NFL. Like, you're going to have to acknowledge Laramie Tunsil is an alien at the position. We don't have to like everything.
I think he's a great player.
He's an excellent player.
He's a great player that gets. You know what he is? He's a Carmelo Anthony. He's a stat sheet stuffer.
That may be a perfect. That may be a.
He's not a winning player.
Because and another thing is,
who was that left tackle when CJ was winning these playoffs?
The mindset that Laramie Tunsil had, and this was evident because they moved on from him, affected everybody else on the offensive line. And the rest of the offensive line lacked the intensity and physicality that DeMeco Ryans was looking for. I wholeheartedly believe that.
So, no, I'm not disagreeing with that. Here's where the hope comes in. And I know we showed on time. Here's what I'm saying, guys. And DQ over here and JJ Sugar and the rest of y'all over here in these comments, y'all quit BSing. I'm being serious. I have nothing against Ariante Ursery. I wish that young man the very best career because he is going to be entrusted with protecting our franchise quarterback, period. I hope, for the sake of him and this franchise, that he is as good, if not better, than a Laramie Tunsil, and we start having a Dwayne Brown conversation. That would be awesome. But I think the fan base and those of us that chooses to look at logic and data and watch tape, it is possible that the offensive line doesn't end up playing much better than they play. They may play different. Different doesn't necessarily mean better. It means different. And we're going to find out week 1 when Burse and Fisk and Turner and them boys are coming and Bryant, when them boys coming on their defensive line. Now, the good news is Ariante Ursery is getting baptism by fire every day in practice because he's going up against the Cyborg and the Terminator, and it doesn't get much better than that. That's arguably the best edge duo in the league. And I know that Tay's staying after practice and he's going one-on-one with them, and all that's fantastic. Tay's got to go do it on Sunday. He's got to go do it for 17 weeks, and you got to go do it when the nation is watching in the division round. I've seen Tunzel in all of those moments. We have not seen Ursary. So for everybody who wants to guarantee that Ursary is going to be this or that, you have no evidence to state that. That's my only issue. Can we let it play out? Can we wish the man well and let it play out?
Yeah, we'll let it play out. I'm going to either end up I'm going to end up with either a Ursary jersey or a Higgins jersey this season. It's a lock. That's the only thing I can tell you.
You got
I'm so happy he is on the left side.
Like the early 2000 rappers. You got to wear the jersey backwards.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Come on the show. So
I only own one jersey, and it's a Shane Leckler jersey. So it's got to be special to get me to get a jersey.
Of all jerseys, Shane Leckler?
Yeah, dude. It's all about the punters. Who doesn't love a punter?
Lord help us.
Oh, can we? I know we're on the way out. Can we move? The offensive line is just going to be one because the offensive line is tied to Joe Mixon, which is tied to CJ, which is the receivers. Higgins and them can't do anything. It's all tied together. We're going to be concerned about this offense all season. I'm not concerned about it. I'm not concerned about the defense, especially when CJ Gardner-Johnson is not on the pup. Did y'all see that?
I saw that.
CJ Gardner-Johnson is not on the pup. Makes me
saw that.
Yeah. Cornerback depth is a concern, though. I'm not going to lie.
It is. 4 cornerbacks, one of which is a rookie who I think that they're going to look to deploy inside and out, depending on matchup. I'm worried about that. Though I think that Jalen Smith's strong suit is his ability to play with the ball in front of him. And once it gets behind him, that's where I get a little bit concerned. So I'm wondering, can't wait to see how D'Amico runs. Got Bullock back there. You're going to have MJ Stewart back there, but this was a defense that created turnovers but gave up big plays in 2024.
Ball went over there. Now, a guy that he got, we need to probably mention this. Jimmy Ward didn't play his best ball last year. I was very surprised that they gave Jimmy Ward some money. I thought it would be one and done in Houston. D'Amico would thank him for helping implement the defense and the structure, and they would move on. Jimmy Ward today was placed on the commissioner's exempt list, where he was not permitted to practice nor play. I do think he can come in the building and rehab. I don't know if he can go in meetings or not. Jimmy Ward has got a very uphill battle. So my point is, John, some of those plays, I'm going to credit to a young Lassiter, a young Bullock, and a Jimmy Ward that just was getting beat. I do believe, however, there will be moments this year because some people are saying, well, wait a minute, Miles Bryant is the backup nickel. So what happens here? I think there will be some points where we see whether it's Kamari Lassiter go to the nickel and Petrie goes to safety. We're going to see some exotic defenses. Maybe they play more dime. They were
putting Jalen Petrie back at deep during practice last week.
In the dime package, for sure. So I just think we're going to see when people say, well, damn, they moved on from Miles Bryant. I also think it's important to just add, I think between the versatile pieces of Lassiter and Petrie, and then you get CJ GJ back healthy, things can kind of settle down. But I'll be curious to see if they bring somebody in for that outside corner spot. I don't know how comfortable they truly are with that third corner. Everything else, the linebacking room, Jake Hansen, he makes the team. He's a guy that they trust. They put him in there to start with Neville Hewitt for a couple games last year with the Azeez Al-Shire suspension, and they played pretty well. At Green Bay, both of those guys played really well. And obviously it didn't go so well for the Texans in that space. But Christian Harris, not on any pup list. He's out there running around. EJ Speed makes this team as we thought he would. So I just want to make sure we got some linebacker talk in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, this could all change between now and the next show that we have later this week because players are going to be available. Decisions are going to be made in other spots. And I'm sure we'll have a few other roster moves to discuss when we get back together on Friday. We appreciate all of you watching tonight live. There's a lot of you in here. We always appreciate your contributions to the show. Of course, you can watch this Nobody pissed you. Well, we love it. This show is ELE. Everybody loves it. Oh, you know what? Actually, before we go, we didn't even give them. We have to give our party shot real quick.
I was waiting on that.
I'm a bad host. My bad. Go ahead, John.
That, man. You know what? We have to in the media, and I think this is more so a message to the fan base. Guys, we don't hate none of these players, and a lot of us have talked with these players and have respect for these players. I think we're getting to a point where we're saying, and I don't like, and I don't too much in regards to what our thoughts and opinions are. It's kind of bothering me to the point where now I know we joke a little bit, but we shouldn't always have to say now no disrespect when we're not disrespecting.
Yeah, he's got an opinion about a performance.
It's for me. I've talked to Stan a lot on and off. It's all about performance on the field. We don't hate these players. We have some admiration for these guys for the most part, and we have a lot of respect for these players, especially former athletes. Stan, you played at a higher level than I did. I tried to walk on, and that was it for me after high school. But there's still respect there for an athlete to athlete.
No question.
We got to get away from, and I don't mean this in a bad way because it's never in a bad way. It's just doing our job, and it's starting to make me sick.
That's just society where we are, man. If you come out and you say, I like left, the people on the right be like, why are you hating on the right? It's just so divisive, the culture that is permeating out there right now. And I believe there's some political reasons for that. I'll say that. I really want to do two things. Okay. One of my first jobs in the NFL, I was an entry-level scout for the Washington Commanders. And I put this on social media. And I hate cut down day. As someone that has grown up around professional athletes since I was 16, I have a really good idea of what it takes to be at that level. The commitments, not just these men, their families, the pressure. Yeah, the dollars are nice and the social media is fun and all that. Yeah, all that's nice. But like the work it takes to put yourself in position to be considered of making a 53-man roster. It's the best of the best of the best. It's less than 0.01% of the world that's qualified to be on an NFL practice field. So I salute those gladiators always. And let me be clear. Those guys don't have an issue when we talk like this because they understand that many of us in our own regard, whether it be as a journalist, as a pundit, as a podcaster, or some of us as former players, we've earned the right to have this opinion. They don't get mad about it. When we do this show with Wade Smith, and I'm talking to Wade about different points, he can agree. He can agree to disagree, but he can't tell me I'm making it up. Like, there's good information, there's good commentary, and I appreciate MC and John Hickman, but one of the worst days of my life, man, in 2009, being in Washington, when Jim Zorn, who got fired himself, got us all fired because I had to go cut my college roommate. That was the first person. I was the Turk. I had to go cut my college teammate, man, and that's tough. It still bothers me. So when I say all that to say, the GM told me at the time, Stan, to be a general manager, you must separate your emotion and your affinity for the players. Like, they're still people, but you got to focus more on the jersey number. You can't get caught up in where he went to school and dining with him in the cafeteria. You have to keep that separation. So that's why I'm wired like this. Many people live out there in the fan strip. I get jealous of that. I can't fan out. That's not my DNA. That's not what I built my brand on. So anyway, it's just I hate today because a lot of guys lose their jobs, and some of these guys will never play this game again. So it sucks.
Yeah, it does.
It does suck. And I'll leave mine on a positive note. I'm feeling the vibe. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just because the season's getting closer. I mean, give me the Kool-Aid. The Battle Red Kool-Aid is flowing over here at the Connor house.
Battle Red Kool-Aid.
I can't wait.
What's that special ingredient over there, Mike?
Battle Red Kool-Aid, baby.
Okay,
let's go. I'm feeling it. I don't know, man. I need the season to get here because I'm ready to go. I was at the gym today and I just had a moment of sports thought. I was like, man, you know what? I'm so excited Texans football is about to be here. And then I saw a highlight for the Rockets, and I was like, I can't wait for the Rockets too. We're in a good spot in Houston sports right now. Yeah. We're in a good spot. Huh.
Oh, dang it. the time. Has anybody changed their record prediction based on the 53-man roster?
No.
Let's dive into that Friday.
Oh,
we can do that on Friday. Okay.
Ooh,
all right.
What a
like
tease.
that.
Okay.
That is a professional move by John Hickman because that is telling you that we have to say goodbye. That is the end of the show. Thank you for stopping by. We'll be back again, like John said, Friday. We'll get into plenty. Roster moves.
Right talk.
Are we changing all of it right here on the Locked On Texans Squad?